use. I think it's a matter of degree. I don't think that we're going to get away in a world where we're not going to use social media as an adolescent or a young adult or even full-fledged adults. It's here to stay. Like everything, we have cycles, and there may be a backlash at some point where there's resistance, but frankly, I think it's really quite part and parcel of everyday life, and people are using various apps to stay in touch, to be receiving information, to have influencers change their minds on things and inform and educate. I do think there's a big downside because there can be too much of a good thing, too much of a not so good thing, too much, period. And so to unplug and to stay somewhat balanced about your social media use, I think, and mindful about your social media use is very, very important, so that you don't give too much credence to somebody's likes, you don't give too much attention to what they've said, you're not as prone to being bullied. You know, there's a little bit more control over how you manage social media if you're doing it wisely. So in that regard, if you have some control, if you have some balance, if you unplug to some degree, I don't think it's necessarily toxic. That being said, of course, it's case by case, and if there's material or feed that is upsetting you or challenging you or upsetting the apple cart in terms of your emotional well-being, yes, definitely we need to put it down. If your feed is feeding you material on how to lose weight, how to exercise to lose weight, how to restrict, how to purge, how to have a good eating disorder, then yes, it can be quite challenging to be exposed to these constant messages about perfect bodies, body shaming, not feeling good enough in your skin, feeling the need to lose weight, feeling the need to be more toned, to have a certain dress size, to participate in life in a certain frame. I think all of that can influence a young person's mind quite substantially, and it can be quite dangerous, yes. So can it influence, can it kickstart the process of dieting that then goes awry and goes too far and engages in so much restriction that we're now in a full-fledged eating disorder? Yes, I think that's entirely possible. I don't think it's entirely about social media. So it's not like if we don't have social media, we won't develop an eating disorder. It doesn't work that way. There are other things implicated in the development of an eating disorder: biological underpinnings, psychological vulnerabilities, social factors. These are all influencers in the development of an eating disorder. I think the body positivity movement is wonderful. I think it's teaching people to embrace beauty in all size, in all form, frame, dress size, to find comfort in yourself, to put yourself forward with fashion and feel good about yourself no matter what. And not to only feel that I'm legitimate if I'm this size, if I've reduced to this number, if I'm this weight on the scale, etc., etc. And I think it provides a very different conversation and a different psychology to particularly young women as they navigate the social media world, as they navigate their lives. And their experiences of their own bodies, right? So I'm hearing nutritionists talk about body positivity and give a very different perspective on enjoying food, celebrating life, embracing all foods. As soon as we embrace all foods, we no longer have the sort of the potential for binge eating disorder, because we're not making diet foods so restricted, food so restricted that we have to binge it in order to get to have it. So when we have everything be as valuable, as valid as another, the chocolate is as valid as the apple, then the chocolate doesn't become golden, and you don't need to binge it, and you don't need to have it in secret, and you don't need to feel shame for enjoying it. We've seen eating disorders in largely women because they do affect women more often than men, but certainly from adolescence right through the lifespan. Absolutely. People who don't have a handle on their eating disorders, they may have binge eating disorder, they may have bulimia, they may restrict, they may have distorted body image right through the lifespan, and the consequential medical problems associated with it as well: tooth decay, um, um, poor, what do we call them, vital signs, um, all kinds of medical fallout from their eating disorder. I think again they need to be very aware when they're using social media how to use it, and to be mindful of what they're looking at, to be very sort of smart about what they choose to allow in their feeds, right? And so when they're looking at something, to just have press pause and to say, oh, what am I looking at right now? And how is this influencing me? Did I find myself not wanting to have lunch or allow myself my snack, which is going to only be good for me and good for my health and well being, and to not have me obsess over food and dieting? Okay, well, if it does seem to influence me in a negative way, maybe I need to put it down. Maybe I need to unplug. Maybe I need to have less feeds coming into my social media. Maybe I need to be less phone based, right? At least for the time being, because it colors my mood too much. It affects my eating too much. It affects my body image too much. Well, I think it's a growing movement. I think many people are finding themselves following influencers because they have some flair, or they have a lot of followers, or they have a great body, or they're saying something that seems intriguing. But I think you have to do your research and recognize that many of these influencers don't particularly have an education behind what they say. They're speaking from their own guesstimates or their own life experience. It's not truth. It's not necessarily, valid what they have to say. So you have to be really wise about what you choose to buy into, because otherwise we're letting the blind lead the blind, right? And I think that can be a very dangerous thing. So I think again, just being aware, not just being a robot, right? I'm on Instagram and I'm following this person, and so they must be God because they're there.